is uh, a video based on a young horse, a 3-year-old, that he's a big boy and he's working on understanding how to finish his turns. Right turn is better for him than left. So we're really trying to focus on building his confidence. We started to the right and we're basically doing all lefts, all rights, but we're doing in a way that he goes in with nice lateral bend, spot 1 to 2, and then finishes tight and straight, leaving each barrel. So instead of doing all lefts where you do double circles around them and they're perfect circles, this is a variation of my all left, all right drill with a correction for what a young horse needs. But prior to doing all of this, let's see right here. Let's see, this is the right side, so I'll talk about the right side first. Prior to doing all of this, we worked on areas where he needed some work, which was hind end work. So backing straight lines, backing circles, the hind quarter squares where you're doing 90-degree turns and then a 180 when you change directions. We also did a lot of face flexing laterally and vertically at a walk and a trot as well on the rail. So a lot of prep work, a lot of dry work and drills. About 75% of the hour was spent on dry work and drills and away from the barrel pattern, just getting more basic. So really more dry work, working on hindquarters and all of that. So then, like I said, we added post trot to it. And then I had her going straight at the barrel and then make a lateral movement. So kind of like doing it in and out where you ask them to move away from your inside hand and leg and step out with a nice like 5-foot spot 1 and 5-foot spot 2 while keeping the front and back feet on the same tracks and keeping the rib cage soft. And then to finish tight, a little more inside hand lift, outside hand by his neck and then outside leg. And in this case, her inside hand was a little lower than her outside, so she would want to keep that either even hands or inside hand is higher. So now she's, again, just went straight at the barrel, now moving a lateral movement out, and again, doing shaping with her inside hand and leg. Hands can be even or inside hand can be an inch higher, like it is there. Inside hip, outside leg, and then give him back his head to square him up right away. So it's kind of like a bump and point. So her elbows are soft, her hands are even. She sits for rate before the barrel and then uses inside hand and leg for lateral bend, which she's doing nicely. Then when she wants to finish, it's more inside hip, a quick bump with the inside hand, but then drive out because see, he'll want to stay. And she's really working off that outside leg and a touch of the neck rein, not anything dramatic with the balance rein. And if you go to the horn too much with him, what he'll do is he'll want a rubber neck. So we're really trying to get him to work off the outside leg. So that's the main goal with this. So now we'll see it to the other direction on the left side over here. We're going to the left now on the right side. There's Rocky's ears. All right, so and in that case, she actually took his nose out a little bit more. I don't really want the outside neck rein doing much. I'd like the balance rein to just keep the head straight, but more outside leg to get him to move over. And so the face should always be straight. The only time the nose is in is when you're doing a lateral flexion at spot 1 to 2. So again, she sits for rate. Inside hand is higher than outside hand. Front and back feet are on the same tracks. And then here, mainly the outside leg with the inside hip will be the straight cue. And then release the rein so he'll square up. And then going like you're going straight at the barrel because we're just working on left side right now. And then move a lateral movement out and keep a lateral bend spot 1 to 2 and 4-wheel drive. And then finishing with that inside hip, outside leg again, and then release his rein so he'll go and square up. And what we're trying to do is just get him really working off our seat and leg and understand that he needs to, when he feels that inside rein, it needs to attach to his inside pivot foot to reach up under him. And when he feels that outside leg, to square those shoulders up and just leave nice and straight. So that is the goal of this exercise. So again, straight at the barrel, then a lateral movement. We're kind of over exaggerating. When we actually go to the actual barrel pattern, your lines would be straight to your spots. But in this case, we're moving out laterally and then we're finishing tight. And that was a good effort. So, And again, this colt, if we went one-handed right now, he would try to overbend his head and neck, um, and kind of over rubber neck his head, and then he would float his shoulder and not finish his turn using his hindquarters. So because we want him to use his hindquarters more, and he's had a lot of growth spurts, so always checking chiropractically and vet-wise that he's not sore anywhere, and there's no reason why he can't, but backing circles, backing straight lines, and then the squares with the quarter turns, the like a miniature rollback. Instead of a 180, it's a 90 until you change directions. All of those things are going to help as well. Moving the hip in, like a hip in drill where you're going a straight line, you can push the hip in. That's a good one as well. All of those things are going to help. And then, like I said, vertical flexion, because as you can see, this colt's neck comes high out of his shoulders. So his head is higher than his withers. But where Rocky, he travels more level, where his head is even with his withers. So it is important with horses that are built that way to teach lateral and vertical face flex and try to get them to put their heads lower, because you can clearly see when he's working a circle and going across, he's naturally more high head setted, where some horses would keep their head a little lower and flatter. So she wants to always be able to work on him rating off her seat and respecting her hands to put his head a little lower and breaking the pull for her. So those are all things to be working on with the 3-year-old, and no hurry to lope the barrels, just trying to make sure we've got a good foundation first. Lots of buttons, making sure that he'll work off lighter hands and more off her seat and her legs, and that she's got some buttons in order to help her keep him nice and straight. And again, we did everything at a walk before we did it at a trot, and the goal was to make sure his left turns were as good as his right. So she sat for rate, had lateral bend, and then squared up. That outside leg will square the shoulders up, and by bumping and releasing with your inside hand, that tells them to finish the turn and then drive out. So she did a really good job, and so did he.